Hello to you all. Today I'm here to chat with you about everything I want to read in December. It is Christmas time. I do have quite a few Christmassy books on this list, but we're gonna start with the books that I'm in the midst of that I didn't get to finish in November. The first book is actually going to surprise you all. I actually know it will, because it's Fourth Wing. Am I a fantasy girl? No, I very rarely read fantasy. But there was something, I honestly think it was book talk. It influenced me. I started reading it. I am 250 pages in. I have already ordered Iron Flame, the second in the series, and that's on its way. This is a fantasy book about a girl who her entire life she has prepared herself to be a scribe. And scribes essentially document the history of this world. And her mother is not a scribe. Her father was a scribe. Her father has passed away. Her mother is essentially the head of the army, close to it at least. And her mother has decided, no, you're not going to be a scribe, Violet. In fact, you're going to become a dragon rider. There are dragons in this world, and it's very difficult to become a dragon rider. You meet her on the first day where there's like a series of events and challenges that she has to survive. Many people do not survive. And you follow her trying to become a dragon rider. Now, I will say I'm 250 pages in, and the dragons have come, and I really enjoy the dragons. So I'm reading that. So it came out of nowhere. I know, it's ridiculous. I'm also listening to the second book in the Maisie Dobbs series, which is very light crime, like mystery meets historical fiction. This takes place just after World War I, and you meet Maisie Dobbs. She is working on a case where a girl has gone missing. This is not the first time she has run away, though. So her father, who is a very strong, bullheaded man, hires Maisie to track this girl down and bring her home. And it ends up spiraling from there, and there's murders involved and everything. I am really enjoying the series. Strangely enough, like I kind of like it, and I'm listening to it on audio, and I think I'm just going to just continue until I'm finished the series because I'm liking it. So I'm going to read that. I do have a couple of books that I just recently bought, and you'll see in a future book haul. The first is The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. This is tiny, teeny tiny, but so festive looking. This follows a girl who is an art student, and she is planning on actually spending Christmas alone until she is invited by a friend to go home with her to the Cotswolds. And so she goes, and she meets this very handsome boy. Ashley is introduced to Emma's brother. I think his name is Adam. And there is like a spark there for sure. There's some sort of spark. However, please be careful, because Adam is apparently being looked at by the police for the murder of a girl, a local girl in this small town. And the mystery goes from there, but it sounds incredibly atmospheric. I am so ready to read something like this. It's so perfect for this time of year. Even though it's tiny, I'm excited for it. The next book is My Darling Girl by Jennifer McMahon. This does not scream Christmas. However, it takes place at Christmas, and we're following a woman named Allison who lives with her husband and her daughters in Vermont, and is slightly estranged from her mom. Now, her mom has recently been diagnosed with cancer, I believe, and only has weeks to live, and she wants to spend those weeks with Allison. So Allison gets a call that her mom is dying of cancer. And her mom's name is Mavis. And Mavis wants the last days of her life to be around Ashley as well as her family. So she agrees, and Mavis arrives. And soon after Mavis arrives, terrifying things start happening around the house at Christmas time. It's perfect. It's perfect for this time of year, and so I shall read it. Next up is Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe. This is romance, but it's a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, so I think I'll be okay. Barry got this for me a couple of Christmases ago, I think, and I just would like to read it. It follows a woman named Darcy. She is a very successful businesswoman, and she goes home for Christmas to spend time with her family. And at her parents' annual Christmas bash, this also has major Bridget Jones's Diary vibes, which is also based on Pride and Prejudice. In any case, at the Christmas party, she meets a guy that she really doesn't enjoy his company, Luke Bennett. And he is a carpenter. They both have too many spiked eggnogs and end up falling into bed together that very night. And it is about their relationship from there. It's going to be a cat and mouse game. It's going to be Pride and Prejudice in the present day. And I'm here for it. Next is Thrice the Blinded Cat Hath Mewed by Alan Bradley. And this is a Flavia de Luce mystery. I've read one of these, I think the first, many years ago. I think that's called The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie. And I liked it. It's about a girl named Flavia who ends up becoming a bit of a detective, a bit of a Nancy Drew we've got here. And in this case, we're following her as she's moving from Toronto to back home to England. She gets there and finds out that her father has fallen ill and is in the hospital, but she's not allowed to go and visit him yet. He needs to recover first. And so she's hanging around at home. She's spending time with her siblings who she doesn't enjoy. And so she kind of jumps at the chance to get out of the house. The vicar's wife has asked her to run an errand to drop off a message to a wood carver. She gets there and finds the man, I believe, dead, hanging upside down on the back of his bedroom door. And the only thing around the scene of the crime is a small cat. And she's trying to find out what happened to him. It's so silly, but also wonderful at the same time. Another mystery-ish book that takes place in December. I didn't know that until I picked it up. It takes place in December 2003. We're following a man named Luke Ryder, who is the stepfather of an acclaimed filmmaker, and he's found dead in the garden. Now this filmmaker was just a child when his stepfather died. He doesn't know really what happened. His mom and his stepsisters were asleep upstairs when he stumbles upon this body. And many years later, 20 years later, this mystery is now the part of a series, like a docu-series, like on Netflix. They have those things, and it's called Infamous, and they're trying to find out what happened. And you follow along them. And what drew me to this book is that you're really playing detective. You're reading through text messages and emails and newspaper clippings, and you're trying to find out what happened that fateful night alongside the, I wouldn't call them detectives, investigative crew, journalistic crew. So that sounds really fun. And last but not least is more heartwarming. You can tell I like a darker book in general, but that's okay. This is Midnight in Everwood. It takes place in 1906, and we're following, it's essentially like a Nutcracker retelling. I love the story of the Nutcracker. I don't know what it is. I love to go and see the ballet. My tree downstairs, my Christmas tree is all Nutcracker themed. I just like it. So we're following a ballerina named Marietta. She is getting older. Her ballet days are nearly behind her, and so she's like kind of grasping on to the end. A new neighbor kind of upends her whole life. He constructs the theatrical set of her next ballet, and when she walks on to the stage, she actually is kind of transported into a snowy land filled with sugar, plums, and fairies, and that sounds just lovely to me. So those are all of the books I would like to read this December. Very Christmassy, some darker than others, and I'm up for it. Let me know in the comments below what you plan to read in December, and I will talk with you very soon. Bye, guys.